Hey guys, Alina here from Digitalina, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a lookalike audience of your paying customers. Now, this is one of the top targeting strategies that we use in-house, in particular for our service-based clients, to make sure that they are getting the highest quality leads possible and that we're finding them a target audience that is as closely matched to their existing paying customers. Now, before we dive into the step-by-step instructions of how to go about making a lookalike audience, let's make sure you are super clear on what a custom audience is and what a lookalike audience is and when you would use them. Now, a custom audience is a warm audience. That is someone who has interacted with your business before. It could be offline or it could be digitally. So digitally, it's hard to say that word, digitally, that would be someone who has perhaps clicked on your ad before or visited your website, looked at your product pages. It could be someone who has signed up for your email newsletter. It could be your Instagram or Facebook followers. So you get the drift. It's someone who's already engaged with your business online. The other type of custom audience you can have is maybe this person hasn't interacted digitally with you, but they're actually a customer, or maybe they are a lead in some way and they're on your email list through some other method. So a custom audience is only used for retargeting purposes. Okay, so that's a warm audience and you want to show them your ad again because they perhaps haven't converted into being a paying customer. Okay, or you want to upsell them or cross-sell them if they're an existing customer. So that is a custom audience. A lookalike audience is not a warm audience. A lookalike audience is a cold audience, okay? This is someone who has not heard of your business before, hasn't interacted with them, and you're trying to use your ad to say, hi person who seems like you would be a good prospective customer, why don't you click on my ad and learn more, okay? Now, a lookalike audience is called a lookalike audience because it looks like your custom audience. Now, it could be a lookalike audience of your website visitors. It could be a lookalike audience of your paying customers. It could be a lookalike audience of your Instagram followers. That's up to you to decide, but that's what we as marketers do. We create different lookalike audiences based off of different custom audience sources, and we test that out in our targeting strategies. We say, okay, if we want to get new customers, why don't we try targeting people who look like your Instagram followers? Because if your Instagram followers are very engaged and they're the right type of people, then we want to find people who are similar. Now you might be wondering, well, why do we use a lookalike audience of paying customers versus other warm audience sources? So why not a lookalike audience of website visitors or of Instagram followers? And there's no harm in that. You definitely can. We split test all those different options. But the one that we gravitate towards the most is a lookalike audience of paying customers for a very good reason. And that is that they pay. We have proof that these are the type of people who will actually put their money where their mouth is and pay for their service. So they are probably going to be the highest quality type of people. So that is why we upload a list of existing customers and find or build a lookalike audience off of that. The next highest quality after paying customers would probably be people who were leads, right? Who opted in, or then maybe newsletter subscribers, or maybe then people who visited on your website. I think the lowest quality would probably be anyone who's just a follower on Instagram or Facebook, because that's really easy to do. It's not very high commitment. So that's probably at the lower end. So I hope that makes sense. And you are now clear on the difference between a custom audience, a lookalike audience, and why we gravitate so heavily towards using a lookalike audience of an existing customer list. So now let's dive into the fun techie stuff, which is how to actually create this lookalike audience. So there's 3 steps. Step number 1 is to actually prepare a list of your customers on an Excel spreadsheet. And number 2 is to then take that spreadsheet and upload it as a custom audience in Facebook Ads Manager. And once it exists as a custom audience, you will then make a lookalike audience of that custom audience. If that sounds overwhelming, don't worry, it really isn't. Let's go ahead and build a customer list, okay? Because there's a certain way that Facebook wants it to be formatted. So I'll walk you through those formatting guidelines. So actually there's 2 tabs open here, which I'm gonna drop underneath the video in the description link so you can check it out. But Facebook tells you exactly how, see, there you go, how to format customer lists before you begin. It tells you how each column should look in terms of the headline. So, you know, for typing in email addresses, make sure that the header is exactly like this, email. For phone number, it should say phone. Ignore that one, you're not gonna need it. First name, FN, last name, LN. And then it has some additional comments here, which I'll walk you through when we go through our example, but essentially you can always come and turn to this and it walks you through all the different types of columns you can have. This is another tab which talks about the best practices as well, just some sort of good to knows, but we'll discuss my most important ones as well. in this section. So let's open up an Excel spreadsheet that I had made earlier. Let's make this a bit bigger so you guys can see it. View, zoom to 150. Okay. So as you can see here, this is formatted according to how Facebook would like it. Okay. You can get that from that link I dropped earlier. You don't need to have all of these identifiers. Okay. This is just a sample that I downloaded. The more columns that you have and the more data that you give Facebook, the better quality your custom audience and therefore your lookalike audience is going to be. Okay. Because the way that it works is when you give all this information to Facebook, what it's doing is looking at all the data and matching it to existing Facebook profiles, because people will add their name and their email address and their phone number to their Facebook profile and where they live, etc. So Facebook's just trying to go through that data and their Facebook database and going, oh, okay, these are the people that match. Cool, we'll find people similar to them. So more data, the better it's going to be. I have honestly never gotten this much data from any client. I don't think most people do have this much data. We usually stick to email, phone number, first name, last name. We're in Dubai, so there's no zip code. We don't bother with states that much over here in Dubai. Country we keep because that's easy enough to add in. Date of birth, gender, great if you have that information. Age, again, great if you have that. Most people will not. So let's just go ahead and delete that so this is not overwhelming you. I think this is a really great place to be, these 5 columns. If you don't have phone numbers, that's okay. At the bare minimum, I would say you have to have an email column and you have to have a first name. So just do first name, email. I think country is easy enough. If you're a local business, you know where your customers are. They're all going to be in that one country. But yeah, you can get away without phone number, but I think it's good to have that. Now, in terms of formatting, this is pretty straightforward. Email is straightforward. First name, last name, make sure you separate those out. Facebook is not going to recognize it if you put the full name together in one column. So please do separate that out. Phone number, you have to use country code, otherwise it's not going to work. Even if all your customers are in the same country and you've labeled country, Facebook still wants you to add in the country code. So make sure you have that added. In terms of the country code, what you want to do is, I'm going to open up Google Chrome. You want to add the ISO code for a country. If you don't know what that is, doesn't matter, just type it in and you will see what it is. So let's say we need the code for Kuwait. Okay, so I'll type in Kuwait ISO code, and then you'll get that right over here. So you can see it's usually like a 2-3 letter code that represents that country. So KWT, is it for Kuwait? If we want to do United Arab Emirates ISO code, it is ARE. So once you've gotten the ISO code, you just plug it in over here, and a list like this is pretty much good to go, except for the fact that this is, of course, far too short. As I mentioned, the more data, the better. And Facebook actually will not accept anything that is less than 100 people. Okay, so you want to have at least 100 customers on here first in order to make a lookalike audience. I have somehow gotten away in the past with making lookalike audiences with less customers. It's a hit or miss. So try it out. I've tried it with 50 or 60 people before and it seems to have worked. But other times I try it and it says, nope, source is too small, it's not going to work. So try it out. Maybe it works, but in any case, in your own benefit, I would just say if you have 100 or hundreds of customers, it's going to work much better. Okay, so we have our list ready. Let's say we save it now. And you have to save it as a CSV file. Okay, when you are uploading, they're not going to accept Excel files. So just use this drop down over here. There's so many different formats. Just make sure it's .csv. I will label this Alina tutorial custom audience list. We're going to keep it there and save. So that was the first part of creating a lookalike audience. We've created the customer list, and now what we have to do is upload it to Ads Manager. So here we are in my example ad account, and I'm going to go ahead here under the home button, and I'm going to go to audiences. So you scroll down until you come here under advertise, there's audiences. And once it loads, we are going to create a new custom audience. So you go to create audience, custom audience. In terms of sources, you select customer list. And then over here, I just want you to hit next and not worry. This is just telling you to look at their formatting guidelines. Oh yeah, guys, you can just download a file template here if you want as a good starting point. You hit next. In terms of customer value, so to start with, don't worry about this. You can say no, but so you understand if you want to use this in the future, you can say yes. and then you would have to make a column in your customer list, giving customers a score from 0 to 100. So 100 is saying, give this as much weight as possible. This is really my ideal type of customer. And then you could have, you know, the remaining customers at like a 50 or a 60, however you want to weight it. You're telling Facebook, okay, out of these 1,000 customers that I have, I really want you to try and find more of the people that I'm giving a higher rank. So that could be people who are probably bigger spenders or have higher income or something to that effect, right? Those are the people you want to score higher, and then the other smaller customers you can give less weight. So we're going to skip that for now. We're going to choose no. In terms of uploading a customer list, you select upload file, you select Alina tutorial custom audience list, and you give it a name. So that's my custom audience. You know what, maybe you want to name it something like customers, right? So this could be like Alina's customers. Next, so you see over here that it's actually all matched already because you used the right column headers. Facebook was able to easily identify those columns. If you don't use the right columns, it'll tell you that action is needed and you need to fix it, or it'll kind of match it for you based on a guess. So everything here looks good. There's little reminders of how you format it. Just make sure you look at that. Then you do import and create, and then it just uploads. So you can see here, our customer list is hashed and uploaded. It tells you how many rows were uploaded. There's only 9 rows here. So this isn't where Facebook would tell you off and say your list is too small. It's when you come to making a lookalike audience that they're going to tell you your source is too small. So let's see how that goes, if I'm allowed today or not. But yeah, you're good to go. You've created a customer list and it pops up here now. So guys, you can now see that my custom audience of my customers is ready to go in my audiences page. And all I have to do now is make a lookalike audience off of it, which is the easiest part. So you go to create audience, you go to lookalike audience, and this is where you're going to use the source you just made. Ignore this, just go to other sources. And we see it right here. It says Alina customers. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to type in where I am or which country it is that I'm living in and I want to target. So I'm going to select UAE. I'm saying, hey, based off of my existing customers in the UAE, find me similar people in this market. And this is probably the only sort of finicky part which you can try a few different things for. What you want to do over here is you want to drag this anywhere from 1 to 10%. 1% means this audience is super similar to your existing customers, okay? So it's more closely matched. The further and broader you go, 10%, it expands your audience size, so you get more volume and it's a bigger pool of people, but they're gonna start to become a bit more and more dissimilar to your existing customers. It's something you just have to test. In a small market like the UAE, 1 to 2% used to work well for us, but with all of the recent changes with Facebook, we find that when we go broader, closer to 10%, we're actually getting better results. So you can start off with 10%, you can start off with 1 or 2% and just split test and see what's actually getting you better results. So let's say for now, we'll do lookalike 1% of my customers. It gives you an estimated reach of how many people will be in this pool. So 110,000 people, not bad. Okay, create audience. And there we go, good to go. You have a lookalike audience ready of my customers, a lookalike 1% audience. This is going to update later on. Don't worry about it. In the beginning, it'll always say it's tiny. But then when you actually run that ad, it gives you a reach of whatever it is, 100,000, etc. So I don't really put much weight into what it says over here. I wouldn't worry about it. So guys, I hope that was very helpful for you. A lookalike audience of existing customers is definitely something you want to do when you have a customer list that has at least 100 people. It is an excellent targeting strategy. Please do test it out. Let me know how it goes. And if you have any questions at all about how to set that up, drop it in the comment section below. Thank you for tuning in. Please like this video if you enjoyed this tutorial and subscribe to our channel. I'll catch you next time.